Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really cracking open a classic, J.R.R. Tolkien's The Hobbit.
Mhm.
But we're not just, retelling the story. We're using our source material, a really detailed narrative summary and some analysis to kind of shortcut to the insight.
Yeah, the real core of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How does this story basically work as a transformation guide for, well, the ultimate reluctant hero?
That's the mission, absolutely.
Here.
We want to trace let's call it the architecture of Bilbo Baggins' change. Like,
Mhm.
really look past the surface level stuff, the trolls and dragons,
Right.
and figure out those specific moments where his actual personality gets fundamentally rewritten. How does a hobbit who's just obsessed with, like, comfort inertia,
Yeah, comfort inertia, I like that.
how does he find not just courage, but, the cunning and even the moral clarity to sort of resolve a geopolitical conflict by the end? That's what we're digging for.
Okay, so we have to start where Bilbo starts, his home, Bag End. The sources really describe it as more than just a house, don't they? It's like,
It's his philosophy made physical.
yeah, it's the Shire life,
Right.
peaceful, predictable routines, lots of meals,
Definitely lots of meals.
and just this complete rejection of anything remotely adventurous or uncomfortable.
And that rejection, that deep-seated need for comfort, is what makes the catalyst so perfect. Gandalf the Grey shows up.
Disrupting everything.
Totally. And he's not looking for a warrior, is he? He's looking for a burglar. He sees this specific kind of latent potential in Bilbo.
Something hidden.
Right.
Yeah.
The ability to be unseen, maybe underestimated, flexible, things these big, proud dwarves just aren't.
Which sets the stage for that incredibly disruptive party, 13 dwarves showing up.
Led by Thorin Oakenshield, the heir.
And they have this single, huge goal.
Yeah.
Reclaim their home, their treasure from Smaug the dragon. But the whole thing hinges on Bilbo actually walking out his front door.
Which he really doesn't want to do.
No, he only goes kind of reluctantly because of Gandalf's subtle pushing and maybe a tiny spark of curiosity.
Oh, for sure. But it's critical. Like you said, he leaves the Shire feeling more like a tourist, not really a participant in this quest.
Okay, so he's out the door. And the journey immediately throws this first big test at him. The trolls.
The three massive, brutish trolls. Yeah, that's his first exam, you could say.
But wait, if we're tracking his transformation, isn't the troll encounter actually a bit of a failure for Bilbo? I mean, the sources say he was caught trying to pickpocket them pretty clumsily.
See, that's a really good point. But I think it's less about his failure and more about the lesson learned by the company, and especially by Bilbo.
Okay.
The trolls represent pure, dumb, brute force. They're huge, they're tough, they're just driven by appetite. Bilbo tries force or stealthy force and fails.
Right.
But how are they saved? By Gandalf's wit. He uses his voice, tricks them, confuses them, until the sun comes up and boom, stone.
So the lesson isn't don't steal.
No. Well, maybe also that. But the main lesson is that strength isn't the only way. It's often not even the best way. Intellect, patience, cleverness. Those are the superior weapons here, and I think Bilbo gets that almost immediately.
And that intellect, or at least the situation, gets him a tool. From the troll's hoard, Bilbo gets his little blade, Sting.
Right. And what's interesting there, while the dwarves get these grand ancient swords, Bilbo's weapon is perfectly sized for him.
Small, light.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Good for quick defense? Maybe.
Hmm.
But it emphasizes his need to rely on speed, on stealth, not on overpowering anyone.
Okay, so he's got a new perspective, a new tool. That takes them to Rivendell.
Rivendell, yeah.
Yeah.
The Elven Sanctuary. It's like an information hub on the journey. And Elrond, the wise elf lord, he's the next key guidepost.
And this is where they get actual tactical intel, right? He deciphers the runes on Thorin's map.
The moon runes, yes, revealing the secret way into the Lonely Mountain. So now they're equipped not just with swords and, lesson about trolls, but with classified information. Critical.
Okay, let's move into this next part, because you mentioned transformation, and this feels like where it really kicks into gear for Bilbo. They head into the Misty Mountains.
Things get much harsher.
Yeah, and they take shelter in this cave. Turns out, bad idea. Goblin nest.
Total chaos, ambush. And in the confusion, Bilbo gets knocked out, separated, and falls deep into the darkness, all alone.
And the sources really highlight this, don't they? This moment of isolation is like the crucible.
Absolutely the crucible. He's completely stripped of his protectors. No Gandalf, no dwarves right there. It's just Bilbo in the pitch black. There's no wizard coming to trick these enemies. He has to save himself.
Which leads him straight into arguably one of the most famous scenes in fantasy, the riddles in the dark.
With Gollum.
Yeah.
Tense doesn't even begin to cover it. Life or death stakes on a game of riddles.
But our analysis points out something interesting, that winning, ultimately, kind of came down to luck. His last question, what have I got in my pocket? That wasn't really a riddle. Does that chance element sort of undercut his resourcefulness here?
I see why you'd ask that, but I don't think so, actually. The brilliance of that scene is Bilbo facing this intense psychological pressure from this creature and holding his own.
He doesn't just panic and freeze.
Right. He engages Gollum on his own terms, playing the game. And, yeah, the final question might be accidental, born of desperation, but his wit, his ability to think under pressure, kept him in the game right up to that point.
Okay, fair enough.
And, more importantly, what does he find before that final question? What's in his pocket?
The ring. The small golden ring.
Exactly. And that discovery fundamentally redefines his role. It's the ultimate burglar's tool.
Invisibility. Which lets him escape Gollum, then slip past the goblins later. We know, obviously, this ring becomes a much bigger, darker deal later in Tolkien's world.
Oh, definitely.
But here, in The Hobbit, is it just a straightforward magical advantage? A get-out-of-jail-free card?
Functionally, yes, it's a crucial advantage to the quest itself. It lets Bilbo finally step into that role Gandalf saw in him, the unseen observer, the quiet operative.
It turns him from the weakest link into potentially the most valuable asset.
Precisely. And the analysis suggests the real power of the ring here isn't about dominance, not yet anyway. It's about observation. He can watch, he can listen, plan, gather information without immediate danger. It's the perfect tool for an intelligence operative, which is essentially what he becomes.
Okay, so he escapes the mountains, ring in pocket. They get some help from Bjorn, the skin changer,
Very imposing helper.
before they have to plunge into Mirkwood. And that place sounds just oppressive, vast, dark, confusing.
Supplies dwindle, fear grows. Mirkwood is the real proving ground. This is where Bilbo starts consciously applying the lessons he's learned. Stealth from the ring, maybe some courage from having faced Gollum.
And Gandalf isn't there anymore.
Gandalf's gone off on his own business. They're absolutely reliant on their own resources now. And Bilbo's resourcefulness.
And this is where the Hobbit we met in Bag End really seems to disappear. When the spiders attack,
Giant spiders, yeah. Horrifying.
the whole company is caught, webbed up, helpless. But Bilbo, using the ring for invisibility and his little sword sting, he acts alone.
He does. He cuts the dwarves free. He distracts the spiders. He actually fights them off. He even names his sword after drawing spider blood.
That feels like a big moment, naming the sword.
It is. It's a claim of identity. He's not just the hobbit who tagged along anymore. He's the one who saved the mission. He took charge. He's found his footing, his courage.
But his tests aren't over. His cunning gets pushed even further when they escape the spiders, only to be captured by the wood elves.
Right. The dwarves are all thrown into the dungeons by the Elven King, Thranduil.
But not Bilbo.
Not Bilbo. Because of the ring. He's invisible, free, still operational behind enemy lines, essentially.
And he shows incredible patience here, doesn't he? Just watching, learning the routines of the Elven King's Hall.
For days, yeah. Until he devises this, frankly, audacious escape plan, sealing the dwarves in empty wine barrels.
And sending them down the river. It sounds almost comical, but it's genius.
It's his masterpiece of cunning at this stage. It proves he's fully independent, incredibly resourceful. He's thinking logistically, using the environment, the river, to do what force couldn't. It cements that burglar role as needing patience, stealth, and this unique kind of, logistical thinking.
So the barrels float them out of Mirkwood and down to Lake Town.
Esgaroth, yeah. The town of men living on the long lake, right in the shadow of the lonely mountain.
And they get this incredibly warm welcome there. The humans see Thorin as this figure of prophecy, the king under the mountain, return to end Smaug's reign and bring back prosperity.
Which is great for morale, but it also really ups the ante, right?
Yeah.
The reception turns it from just, the dwarves' private quest into this major regional event. The pressure mounts as they finally reach the mountain itself.
And it falls to Bilbo. He's the designated burglar. He has to be the one to sneak into the dragon's lair.
Into the heart of the danger.
Yeah.
And he does. He creeps into the treasure hall and confronts Smaug.
And it's not a fight, not really. It's described as a battle of wits. Bilbo uses riddles, flattery, plays cagey.
He talks to the dragon. And Smaug, being ancient, cunning, and incredibly vain, engages him.
And in that conversation, Bilbo learns the crucial piece of information.
Yes. This is where the knowledge he steals is worth more than all the gold in the mountain. He spots, or maybe Smaug boasts about it, the bare patch in the dragon's armor. Over his heart. The fatal flaw.
But Smaug is enraged, isn't he? Not just by the intrusion, but because Bilbo, unseen, pockets a single golden cup.
A huge insult to a dragon's pride and possessiveness. Smaug knows exactly what he owns. So furious, he flies out, determined to take revenge on Lake Town for helping the intruders.
Which leads to absolute catastrophe for the town. Smaug attacks, fire, and destruction.
It's devastating.
But Bard, this grim archer from Lake Town, remembers old tales, gets a crucial hint from a thrush who overheard Bilbo.
A thrush who was listening when Bilbo told the dwarves about the weak spot.
Right, and Bard, with his black arrow, guided by that precise knowledge Bilbo risked everything to get, he shoots true.
Hits the weak spot, and Smaug falls. The dragon is dead. Victory. Or is it?
Because the sources make it clear, the victory is almost immediately poisoned.
Instantly. This is where the story takes that sharp turn. It goes from this adventure quest into something darker, a tragedy driven by greed. Thorin gets back into the mountain, sees the horde, and just snaps.
Dragon sickness, they call it.
Yeah, he becomes consumed by it. Suspicious, proud, obsessed with the gold. He values the treasure now far more than the alliances or the peace he supposedly came to restore.
And this immediate descent into greed, it triggers the next conflict. Smaug's death brings others, the men of Lake Town needing aid to rebuild, the Wood Elves seeking a share.
They have legitimate claims, arguably, but Thorin, locked in the mountain with his gold, refuses. He barricades the gate, won't share a single coin.
Which leads directly to the brink of war between dwarves, men, and elves. But then Bilbo does something extraordinary.
We really need to focus on this moment, the Battle of the Five Armies, and Bilbo's role before it even starts. He sees this frontless conflict brewing all over gold.
And he makes a choice.
He takes the Arkenstone, the heart of the mountain, the thing Thorin wants most. And he sneaks out of the mountain, risks Thorin's wrath, and gives it to Bard and the Elven King.
There's a bargaining chip.
Exactly. As leverage against Thorin's greed, trying to force a peaceful resolution. It's this incredible ethical stand. He's putting peace and fairness above loyalty to his commander, moral independence fully realized.
But even that doesn't entirely stop the fighting, because then a real enemy shows up.
The goblins and the wargs from the mountains, seeing an opportunity with the dragon gone. A massive army.
Suddenly, the dwarves, men, and elves, they have to unite. They're forced to fight together against this common enemy.
The Battle of Five Armies itself, chaotic, brutal.
Victory is eventually won, but at a terrible cost. Thorin is mortally wounded.
And that final scene between him and Bilbo, that's what really matters for Bilbo's arc, I think. Thorin, dying, finally sees clearly. He recognizes the folly of his greed, the dragon sickness.
And he acknowledges Bilbo's wisdom, his courage, the value of friendship and peace over gold. He asks for Bilbo's forgiveness.
Right. It's a reconciliation. Bilbo, in a way, taught the proud dwarf king the ultimate lesson in humility right at the very end.
So the battle ends. Thorin is buried with the Arkenstone and the treasure.
It's shared out more fairly. Bard leads the rebuilding of Lake Town. Alliances are made. Dane Ironfoot becomes king under the mountain. Things settle.
And Bilbo, he's just had enough. Enough adventure, enough war, enough treasure.
He takes a small share, enough to be comfortable, but mostly he just wants to go home. He realizes the gold isn't the real prize. The journey was.
His return home is the perfect quiet ending, isn't it? He's completely changed.
Fundamentally. The Hobbit who couldn't imagine missing second breakfast has faced down dragons, spiders, armies. He found this deep well of courage and resilience he never ever dreamed he had. He carries the weight of that experience now.
And the irony when he gets back to the Shire is just delicious. His neighbors think he's dead.
They're auctioning off his stuff.
Exactly. And when he turns up, alive and well, but clearly different, they just see him as eccentric, odd, maybe even cracked.
He's seen too much, done too much. He doesn't fit neatly back into their little box of predictability.
But he doesn't seem to mind that much, does he?
No, I think he's content. He's seen the trap of his own initial obsession with comfort and Thorin's far more destructive obsession with gold. He knows his own worth now.
That knowledge of his own resilience, that's the real treasure he brought back.
Precisely. It's internal. He doesn't need their approval or understanding. His transformation is complete, validated from within.
Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive, we should definitely mention the resources that let us pull all this detail together.
Absolutely. And if you're looking to maybe revisit the full story yourself, perhaps experience The Hobbit in a different way, like through audio, or explore other complex narratives, you might want to check out Audible. You can subscribe and get access to a huge range of audiobooks and podcasts, and the first month is free. You know, knowledge is always a good investment.
It really is. So Our final thought on the core message here. For me, it's that Bilbo's journey just perfectly illustrates that old idea. Heroes aren't born, they're forged.
Forged in a fire of inconvenience, you could say.
Yeah, the story is this great reminder that getting to true self-knowledge, it means trading comfort for, well, cunning, courage, maybe just dealing with stuff.
And that even the smallest, most unlikely person can find it in themselves to act with real moral courage and, change the course of big events.
It's pretty powerful.
Which kind of leaves a question for you, the listener, doesn't it?
Yeah.
If this story shows that real value isn't found in cozy hobbit holes or piles of gold, but in discovering your own resilience when things get tough, well, what everyday comfortable Shire are you maybe holding on to? What routine, what aversion to stepping outside the predictable, what might be obscuring your own potential for, maybe not dragon fighting, but adventure, something to think about. What's the value of inconvenience? Mull that over until our next deep dive.